Good to know.
Good to know.
Good to know.
Good to know.
Did you know a caterpillar has more muscles than a human? Some things don't feel like important information, while other things are really good to know. When I was in middle school, I loved to play video games. I would stay up way too late waiting for my mom to get home playing video games. My mom always told me how important it was for me to get a good night's sleep. I never believed her until she let me stay up as late as I wanted for a week. Sounds great, right? Not so much. My mom woke me up at 5 a.m. every day that week. She definitely taught me the importance of a good night's rest. By Wednesday of that week, I was going to bed on time without a fight. For the next few weeks, we're gonna talk about a topic that is good to know about, and that topic is sex. Our ministry is a great place to talk openly about anything. This talk may make you laugh, feel uncomfortable, or anything in between, but it will also make you think. We want to share the truth about sex, not make you feel weird, scared, embarrassed, or judged. People usually avoid the conversation about sex or talk about it negatively. So you may think that we're going to tell you that sex is bad, you're too young, or that you need to avoid it. Instead, we're gonna tell you we're going to have an honest, healthy conversation about sex. God created sex as good, not as something to be embarrassed or uncomfortable about. It's a normal part of God's design to have sexual desires, or to feel, think about, or want to do sexual things. It can be hard to believe God created sex as something good for us to experience one day because we have so many questions about that topic of sex. We can start answering questions about sex by looking at what God has to say about it. People have documented God's thoughts about sex in the Bible from the start of creation. God created humanity in God's own image. In the divine image, God created them. Male and female, God created them. God created us in God's image. So we're created with qualities that are just like God. God created humans to experience things like sex, sexual desires, and being curious about it all. That's why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Adam and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. United. This means being deeply connected with someone, and that includes sex. It was how Adam and Eve, who were married, became close and connected. It was good, and it wasn't gross, sinful, or embarrassing. Sexual integrity is God's design for sex. It's choosing to respond to the sexual desires we feel, think about, or experience in a way that honors ourselves, those around us, and God. We were created to experience sex and sexual desires, questions, and thoughts as part of God's design. So why do we view sex and our bodies in a negative way? When Adam and Eve were in the garden, God told them not to eat fruit from a specific tree. Adam and Eve went against God's plan, and they went from being innocent and not experiencing guilt to suddenly feeling embarrassment and shame. Their views of themselves and others changed, and they covered themselves up. God wanted us to love our bodies and to not be ashamed of sex or our sexual desires. Sex is good, and sex is powerful. Following God's design for sex helps you pursue God's best for your life. But approaching sex outside of God's design can do more harm than good. And things can happen that you didn't plan or expect. Maybe you've experienced physical, spiritual, and emotional hurt that can come from sex outside of God's plan. You've seen sex outside of God's plan change relationships with friends, parents, or between you and God. You've been sexually abused or harassed, and you feel things that you didn't want to experience. If you've ever been mistreated sexually, it's not your fault. God didn't intend for you to be hurt this way. Speak to a trusted adult to help you navigate through these experiences. Experimenting with sex doesn't change the way that God or anyone in this ministry loves you. We don't judge or say that your decisions are bad or wrong. We hope that you think about how sexual integrity can positively impact your life and your relationship with others and with God. When we trust and follow God's plans for our life, including sex. We're experiencing life in the best way possible. Sex is good, but it's also powerful. To start navigating the topic of sex in a way that's good for you, you need to do this. First, find someone to talk to about sex. Pick a trusted adult to help you figure out what sexual integrity means for you. And second, be brave enough to talk about the person that you selected about sex. The more we talk about sex, the easier it will be to keep talking about it. Can you think of one trusted person you can talk to about sex and sexual integrity?
Good to know.
Good to know.
Good to know.
Good to know.